throughout the year where we see different demand patterns.
Of course, of course.
What are some of those patterns?
Of course. So as I'm referring to cooling and refrigeration, let's look at that specifically, because the past few days have been very hot, and months even. We know a bit due to climate change, we're seeing on record some of the hottest years, and it keeps on trending upwards, and this is a major concern. So what we're seeing is a lot of the demand is being driven by cooling loads, ACs, refrigerations, and those sorts of things. So what happens is that as we see a direct correlation, a positive correlation between as the temperatures during the summer peak periods, that we see that increase. And interestingly enough now, in the past, we used to see that sort of synoptic change where we have the two diurnal peaks occurring with the peaks on hours and also during the night when the lights come on. But we're actually starting to see an increase in terms of the consistency even into the night. Why? The nights are very hot. So most persons, I think there's a trend, if we were to have some statistics from maybe the Department of Statistics and stuff like that, there are more ACs being installed in the average household now. Persons finding the Lasco fans not sufficient. So persons are putting in ACs now, and as a result of that now, here at SKELEC, we're starting to see that there's a closing in the margin between the actual daytime peak and the nighttime peak. It's coming very, very close, because persons now are demanding more energy at night as well. Anything else, Jim?
No, you did quite a good job at summarizing it.
Right. So we spoke about climate change earlier, and that being the cause for the increased heat that we're seeing. Are we seeing particular differences as it relates to summer months? We're now out of the summer period in terms of the peak.
Well, see, interesting you should say we're out of the summer. So
on the calendar,
because of when we're looking at it in terms of peaks and hours and the length of the day. But in terms of the temperatures that we're seeing throughout the day and the actual sustaining of the temperatures, because as masses begin to get heated up by the sunlight throughout the day, building structures, the earth and everything, that is now being released way into the night. So we're starting to see an interesting phenomenon, as we say, that even as the days are sometimes now getting shorter, we have not seen that drop off significantly, is it? And we probably won't be seeing that until November, December.
Oh wow.
In fact, we have seen a phenomenon where sometimes in October we're getting even some of the highest demand for the entire year. And that has been trending over the past few years.
That's interesting to note. So as a consumer, what is it that I should be mindful of, especially as it relates to purchasing an AC, trying to remain cool, whether it is in terms of my bills, because some customers are complaining about seeing a spike in their bill. What is it that we want the consumers to be mindful of, recognizing that the temperatures continue to remain very warm, and we are peaking at earlier times than what we would have traditionally recognized?
Great, wonderful. Now, I'm going to answer your question in a very roundabout way. Let's go back to the summer months, for example. And we saw a lot of persons, average households, were complaining about increasing their bills. I'm not sure how many persons stopped to consider around that time school was on vacation, children are at home. And then all of a sudden you will find that even during the school periods, when persons normally the house is empty, if they have the children at home, they're probably going into the fridge more regularly at home, using television, appliances and all that kind of different stuff. So then they might be thinking, well, what's going on with SKELEC and his billing and all that, and they probably didn't stop to look at the fact that the usage pattern is now changing a little bit during those summer months, because the school are out and persons are at home as well. So to your question now, in terms of purchasing appliance, we were here before in a previous power talk, and we did encourage persons now to be looking at what we call energy efficient appliances, energy star rating appliances. The higher the star rating, the better. The initial upfront cost may be a little bit more sometimes, but then over a period of time, the lifetime of the appliance, it then reduces the actual energy usage, the bill that you see, because they're more efficient by design. You have a lot of inverter based ACs, you have a lot of what you call the refrigerators and the compressor based systems with a high coefficient of performance rating, and then LED lighting, all of these other things. Now there is something else that I must take this opportunity to point out, especially when it comes to cooling and ACs and refrigeration. Persons sometimes are not aware that you have to pay close attention to the ceiling of a given space, the room. Because you can put an AC into a room and you're running the AC and you close the doors and windows, but you're not realizing that a lot of air is escaping around the edges, under the doors, around the window frames and stuff like that. Even refrigerators sometimes. If the refrigerator is well packed and stuff and slam it in, or you may have children going back and forth, you're not realizing not closing properly. So there's air escaping around the edges, and then that is causing the refrigerator to work harder. That if it's leaking around the edges of the door and frame and the window is not properly sealed, it's causing the AC to work harder. So that escaping air. So that then correlates to, of course, you're going to see increase in the bill. So that is something persons have to pay very close attention. You know, just pass your hand around the edges of your door, your window, your refrigerator and stuff like that. See where air is escaping, and then look to seal it off. And then pay attention to see how your fridge is regulating itself, or your AC is cutting in, cutting out and stuff like that.
Now, outside of the actual, because some persons will say to you, I haven't changed anything in my home. I have the same appliances. I'm not doing anything different, but my bill is increasing. But obviously, based on what you outlined before, they may not be paying attention to certain things. Outside of that, what other actions do we want the consumers in particular to bear in mind, considering the heat and the increase in the peak that we're experiencing?
Okay, so some of the actions persons should actually give consideration to is terms of your usage pattern. Example, how are you, for example, doing your washing, your laundry, your drying and stuff like that? If you want to be, for example, more energy efficient, is it possible that you could wait till you consolidate your loads, or is it every single night as you use one shirt, you decide you're going to throw it to the machine, throw it in the dryer, right? Can you use natural air flows instead of having to use your dryer? Can you use natural air flows for cooling as well? And sometimes when it comes to a simple thing such as shading and tinting windows, or even the way you put up certain curtains, right, to create that sort of barrier and insulation, preventing the home space from having an increase in temperature. That is one of those techniques that needs to be used very well. And also natural lighting, instead of having to use the lights at night or certain times, based on how the house can be designed. There are ways in which you could have skylights, or you could have other sort of techniques, for example using solar lights, glass blocks also, but solar lights. A lot of persons these days are able to invest in solar lights for perimeter and outdoor lighting. Instead of having lights that you have to have on motion control directly tied into your electric distribution system, you can have solar lighting systems that then use the sun during the day to charge, and at night they are then releasing from the stored energy, instead of then having to use electricity from the grid. So these are just a couple of simple things that persons can do. And also pay close attention to leaving a room, or leaving a space, leaving the house, leaving the AC on, and you're going on the road to the supermarket, or you're going to the sports field and stuff like that, and say, oh, I just want, when I come back, the room to be cool. Well, during a time where let's keep on running. So simple things like that. And also look at occupants in the house, how persons are paying attention to how they're using. One of the other key things is water heating as well. We've seen instances where persons have had issues where there were leaks in their water heating system. And these electric water heaters, whether they're the tank or the tankless ones, and they weren't aware of this. And then it wasn't after investigation they found like a leak in the wall or something, that then it was like, okay, so now we understand. Instead of always thinking that SKELEC has done them some sort of injustice.
A major injustice.
Yes.
Yeah, you can actually turn down the temperature on your water heater too.
Right.
So that because it's a very hot period. Do you really need the temperature
scorching
to be
water?
scorching hot? So just turn on the thermostat, and that would reduce the amount of energy you consume through your water heater.
Now, Mr. Williams, this question is specific for you. We have spoken about the increase in energy demand. I want you to speak to what direct impact that has had on our capacity to be able to generate electricity, the power plant, and the company as a whole.
Okay, in general, naturally you would expect that your energy demand will be growing every year. Now, currently the peak demand for St. Kitts is around 28.4 megawatts, I heard this morning, which is an increase of just about 1 to 2% over last year. And that is pretty much in line with what we expect the annual growth to be. Now, the challenge that we face at SKELEC is that our capacity, our generation capacity, pretty much exactly mirrors the demand at this current time. Now, some time back, we had some critical failures on some generators, I think late last year, and all of the generators are not back in rotation as yet. We got one of the 3 back, we have 2 more. So whenever there are any challenges at the plant, whether it be from a fuel leak, whether it be from whatever, we would have to engage in some sort of power outage affecting customers. It's rather unfortunate. It's not something that we wish to do, but it's a preventative measure that we have to take in order to prolong the life of the asset. Now, I usually tell people it's rather to be without electricity for half an hour than to damage the equipment and then we have to do load shedding for 6 months. So that's one of the considerations that we have to make. In the near future, significant investment definitely would have to be made within the power generation system, whether it be through the installation of new backup generators or renewable energy sources such as solar farms, geothermal plants, hydrogen plants, whatever the renewable energy facility is. But these are the things that we at SKELEC are definitely planning towards, and we know we are going through a difficult period right now. We ask the general public to be understanding and note that we exercise due care and attention when carrying out these repairs, but they are definitely unavoidable right now.
Okay, Mr. Williams, you leaped into my second question, which was what are some of the short-term, medium-term and long-term plans to be able to alleviate some of these challenges. But instead of that question, I will ask both of you, Mr. Williams and Mr. Kelly, as we prepare to open the phone lines, to start to explain what the restoration process looks like whenever there is an outage, whether it is for load management, so that we can get the public to understand that, one, it's a manual and physical tedious task at times, and to help them to be a bit more patient so when these outages do occur.
Okay, in our definition, there are 2 types of outages. They are planned and unplanned. Now, when we have planned outages, these are scheduled outages for maintenance purposes, where we coordinate the area and we set a time, we go out, we isolate the section, and we do whatever work is needed to be done, and then you restore the electricity after. Then an unplanned outage is something that we at SKELEC have no idea it's going to happen. It just happens and we have to react. Now, in both cases, the team at Protection Control and Operations, and specifically the protection team, has done a very good job in coordinating the entire grid, so that whenever we do have these outages, whether they are planned or unplanned, they are kept in particular areas rather than having a cascading effect which could lead to a total shutdown of the system or a blackout. So because of this coordination, the outages are usually kept to a minimum, and we are able to then go out, do whatever repairs that need to be done, and then restore the system. I think well covered.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. We are now going to open the phone lines. I'm not sure if we have any callers as yet, but I encourage you to call in as we're having this very important conversation about energy demand and energy conservation in particular, not because it's extremely hot. And we know that people want to be comfortable. At the end of the day, we all want to be comfortable, and we know that we can't rely on the natural breeze and we can't rely on the Lasco fans anymore.
It's hot.
Yes, the breeze is hot, but we want to encourage you as much as is reasonably possible. Not so much to sacrifice your comfort, but to bear in mind it is also important to conserve the energy, not only because of whatever challenges SKELEC might be experiencing, but because you don't necessarily want to have to pay a heightened or a very, very high bill because of that. So I encourage you, if you do have any questions, please call in. If there are going to be any questions, all right, we have a caller. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm following up on a call I made the last time you were there in relation to a stay in my yard. And I'm happy Mr. Williams is there because he's familiar with the person who is speaking, because I have spoken to him several times about it.
Okay. So
I was happy that about 2 hours after I spoke to you, a technician did call me asking where I lived and everything else. But to date, nobody has come to see me. I don't even go as far as in the road, so they canceled the claim and I was not here. I don't go any place. So I am still waiting because it's more than 5 years. Maybe I have to ask Mr. Williams to compensate me. Mr. Williams? I am still waiting for the state to be removed from my property. I can't fence because of your stay.
And where's this property located?
In Sandy Point.
Sandy Point?
Yes, Stadium View, above the field, where they put the transformer in the corner to get the lights on the field. I also happen to know it was not the best location for it. I did my homework. I am still waiting for somebody to come to remove this stay.
all right, caller. So as you mentioned, I did reach out to the manager and the team. They assured me that they were going to reach out to you
They did.
and pay a visit. I'm not certain if the visit would have had to have included you. So I will follow up to see what determination that they would have made as it relates to this.
Well, the stay is still there.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Are there any more callers? Thank you. All right. So we're going to start to wrap up this morning's program as we have been discussing energy conservation, reducing demand. One more caller. All right. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Hello?
Hi. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Something I noticed. Where must start? In terms of people and the bills, and I noticed that the electricity department, okay, you give us like a 3 months period, like something similar like that, to pay bills and that kind of stuff, or is it 3 months delay or something?
3 months delay. I'm not certain.
Like some people, when you pay a bill, it don't go up to date as to the specific month. Sometimes it's like a backdated a month or two behind, something like that.
No, that's not the case. If anything, you are billed for the previous month. Okay, let's say your February usage is billed in February, and most people would pay it in March.
But not a 3 month.
But not a.
What I'm trying to say that I found that nowadays people who don't have like a big household, who paying probably $100 and something to $200 a month, sometimes they're getting cut off afterward. After the bill done rack up almost $10,000. I don't understand. I say if the electricity, your electricity department up to even 4 or 5 months, they cut you off. You don't wait until a bill run up to $10,000 and you cut off the person. How the person can pay $10,000? I think you all should start, making an effort to cut off within the 5 to 6 months period. And that way, the smaller the amount to pay, the quicker the person get back on the current. In some cases, when a small house get locked off for $12,000 and $10,000, they don't find it much longer to get the money to pay. That's all, that little concern, and think I should do it that way. My main saying lock off everybody just like that. But if they're not paying for a couple months, you alert them still, and then you still take action. You don't wait until the bill run up to $10,000 and you take action. When they can find the $10,000? That's my concern. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your contribution, Carla.
And if I may just say something quickly on that. All right. So, Carla, we understand you're saying sometimes persons, in terms of their management and their money management, things may slip, and in terms of the payments and stuff. In the near future, SKELEC would soon be rolling out prepaid systems, and we're going to be upgrading our AMI infrastructure and all that to allow persons to have that control and the flexibility and to be able to do better with their bill and money management.
All right, and Carlo, this connection is not our first option, it's not our second option, not our third option. At SKELEC, we, as much as is reasonably possible, we try to encourage our customers to remain up to date. We do have a debt collection department that calls, visits, sends letters, sends emails, sends WhatsApp on a regular basis to individuals who are in arrears. And it is never our aim to have persons rack up a bill to an amount that is really unmanageable. So we encourage persons to make a regular payment on your bill. If you have an arrears, go into our debt collection department and have a conversation as to how you can get a DPA, a deferred payment plan or arrangement. It is all of our responsibility to ensure that one, persons remain on the grid, they remain connected, and they remain active, their accounts remain active, and the only way to do so is for you to be in constant conversation with SKELEC and by making regular bill payments. Alright, GQ has mentioned that we have 2 other callers, and we'll take these callers. Alright, last one, last and both. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Good morning.
Hi.
As usual, Lulu is here.
Hi Lulu, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm all right. Good to hear your voice. Thank you all for your service, as usual. Thank you all for the work that you are doing on number one department of work there in the country. Morning, GQ.
Good morning, Lulu.
Morning, my daughter, Catrice, and my good manager there, Mr. Williams. I don't know if acquainted with the other person here, but good morning to you and all the workers. My boy Nigel had his birthday. Nigel, happy birthday and happy birth month. And everybody else, everybody have a good day and keep up the good work that you are doing. Thank you all for your service every time. Have a good day and happy independence to everybody.
Thank you, Lulu. Happy Independence
Day.
Bye-bye.
Well. Bye-bye.
Alright, Jackie, do we have one final caller or that's it for us? There aren't any more callers. Alright. I'm going to allow Mr. Williams and Mr. Kelly the opportunity to provide their parting words as we wrap up the program.
Alright, thank you very much. It was good to be here again. And I would have to echo the sentiment of Lulu, who just say happy independence to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we at SKELEC, we continue to be, that very reliable as best as possible power source for the island of St. Kitts, and we look forward to the future as we move forward in a very sustainable manner. And shout out and commendation to the hardworking men and women of SKELEC, those who are there pushing, going above and beyond. Sometimes unsung heroes may sometimes feel unappreciated, but ladies and gentlemen, don't give up. Things are going to get better. We know that we are going to get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Williams?
Alright, first I would like to say happy 40th independence to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have both islands represented here, Mr. Kelly being a Nevis man and Miss Harris and I representing the island of St. Kitts.
I'm representing Nevis as well. My mother will not forgive me if I just represent St. Kitts alone.
Alright, wonderful, wonderful. So, happy 40th independence to the Federation and to the staff, employees, by extension the board of directors and management of SKELEC. We wish you also happy 40th independence. Thank you for all the hard work to both the employees of SKELEC and the St. Kitts Electricity Department, SKED, who for the past 40 years did their part in making sure that the electrical infrastructure in St. Kitts in particular has been progressively improved, and as Mr. Kelly mentioned, there are bigger things in store, great things in store. So we thank you for your hard work, and we know that you will do whatever it takes to continue moving the Federation forward.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Thank you to all of the individuals who would have called in today, joined us on air or on social media or YouTube. We appreciate your contributions to our program. There will be an Independence Night Parade on Monday, of which SKELEC will be participating in the Parade of Assets. And so at SKELEC, we are powering the nation, we're generating opportunities, and your power is our promise. So we want to remind you that SKELEC is the nation's leading utility provider, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you and goodbye.